Hey guys, tonight we're rewinding to 15th century South America, where a civilization without wheels or written words built an empire spanning 2 continents. Picture this: you're standing on a rock-strewn path in the Andes, your lungs burning in the thin air at 12,000 feet. Ahead stretches a highway of stone wide enough for 3 chariots, except neither chariots nor wheels exist here. Just you one slip from a cliffside, carrying the fate of an emperor's command. Let's get real. You probably wouldn't last a day as an Inca road runner. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Shout your location and local time below. I read every comment. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You creep along a granite stairway, each step worn smooth by centuries of sandaled feet. To your left, 1,000-foot drop into mist. To your right, a wall of jagged rock. The Inca didn't just build roads. They carved arteries into mountainsides, threading peaks like beads on a string. No wheels, no horses, just 250,000 miles of trails connecting mountaintops to jungle lowlands. Your hand brushes a niche in the stone wall, a tiny shelf carved at shoulder height. Every half-mile, these alcoves appear. Mainstream history claims they held torches, but some archaeologists whisper about stranger uses, maybe offerings to mountain gods or snack stations for runners. Imagine grabbing roasted guinea pig mid-sprint because hangry messengers caused diplomatic incidents. Ahead a fork in the path, your fingers dive into a leather pouch at your waist, pulling out 3 pebbles. One's flat with a chipped edge, matching that notch in the cliff ahead. Another's round and smooth, like the Coming Valley's glacial lake. The third, a jagged triangle, your warning about the landslide zone 2 peaks west. Here's the thing, you're not just memorizing landmarks. You're turning geology into gossip. That twisted quinoa plant, shaped like a llama's ear. That's mile marker 17. The boulder with lichen forming the Sapa Inca's profile means freshwater springs ahead. Forget GPS. This is ASMR navigation, stones clicking like a metronome against your thigh. Historians still argue whether these pebbles were mere flash cards or something darker, maybe tax receipts or tokens counting dead runners. Imagine losing a pebble and accidentally reporting a plague. Oops, your fumble just eradicated a village's population census. You reach a tambo, a way station clinging to the mountainside. No snack machines here, just potato stores and coca leaves for altitude sickness. A relay runner collapses on a stone bench, his replacement already sprinting into the fog. Messages flow uphill, literally, since Inca roads favored vertical over flat. Your quip about Stairmaster commercials writes itself, but your lungs are too busy gasping. Fun fact, the qullqa highway system was longer than the Roman Empire's. Quirkier fact, Some runners allegedly tied string around their toes to track distance. Others hummed tunes matching their stride count, though good luck staying in key at 15,000 feet. You pocket your pebbles, feeling their edges like a blind man reads Braille. One wrong rock, and you're delivering military plans to a potato farmer. The Empire's survival hinges on your memory and your ability to swallow panic when condors swoop at your head. Moonlight glints on the path, now each stone polished to a silver sheen. You're a ghost in the Empire's bloodstream, a data packet of carved pebbles and whispered words. And somewhere ahead, a brother runner waits, his pouch full of stones, marking your approach. 5 centuries vanish. The click-clack of rocks becomes the tap-tap of your keyboard. But that's a thought for another night. For now, you run. You picture the chaskis, those relay runners of the Inca Empire, selected as boys for their speed, trained until their legs could outpace landslides, taught to run for days without rest, no Wi-Fi required. Their training starts at 12, your modern middle schooler's age, but with fewer video games, more hauling sandbags up slopes steeper than corporate ladders. Elders tested them by racing llamas, the original fitness trackers. Breath control mattered most. Thin mountain air turns your chest into a bellows. Imagine sprinting through a straw. One mainstream fact slips through the panting. Chaskis ate like Olympians. Maize, dried alpaca, and chili-spiked water fueled their marathon shifts. But here's the quirky bit. Legends claim some runners' sandals burst into flames from friction. Archaeologists found pottery shards showing smoke trailing sandaled feet. Experts think it's myth, but try telling that to a kid clutching a comic book. You'd memorize routes by night, moonlight glittering on peaks like jagged teeth. Each landmark drilled into muscle memory, that boulder shaped like a puma's skull, the stream that sang 3 notes when stepped on. Lose focus. The khipu, a knotted message cord, would tangle into nonsense. Historians still argue whether girls ever joined covert sprint squads. Most evidence says no, but come on, you've seen those Inca heroines in folktales outrunning jaguars. Maybe a rebel teen or 2 pocketed pebbles under dad's nose. Rest meant collapsing at tampu way stations, crash pads with roasted potatoes and coca tea. No post-run smoothies here. Just a grunt from the next runner taking your message, their sandals already kicking dust. Fail a trial run. Congratulations, you're now a pebble porter. Your job, count stones for others while they sprint glory. Talk about a dead-end gig. But hey, at least you'd keep all your toes. Better than the guys who misplaced imperial tax reports. One final test, racing a condor's shadow across canyons. Win, and you'd tie your first official headband, dyed red with cochineal bugs. Your mom would beam. Your crush might notice. And the mountaintop ice whispers what every runner knew. Speed was service. The Sapa Inca's voice rode on your heels, or you died hungry. You slip a hand into your pouch, fingertips brushing cold, weathered stones. Each pebble's ridges and dents map the Andes better than any app. Forget GPS. This is tactile navigation. One smooth oval means turn at the lichen-streaked boulder. A jagged triangle, beware the landslide-scarred pass. Your pockets jingle like a poorly tuned maraca band, but these aren't souvenirs. They're lifelines. Lose a stone, you're screwed. Imagine forgetting your phone passcode, but with cliffs instead of screen locks. Elders drilled this. A missing pebble cracks the road's bones. Historians confirm runners used lithic mnemonics, though debate whether they counted stones nightly. Your modern brain might scoff. Why not carve symbols? But try etching granite mid-sprint at 13,000 feet. Here's the kicker. Not all stones were silent. Legends whisper of singing pebbles that hummed when near certain shrines. Archaeologists dismiss it as altitude sickness hallucinations. Yet, a 1982 expedition found quartzite stones in a chaskis tomb. They vibrate at specific wind frequencies. Coincidence? The dead aren't talking. You kneel by a creek, comparing a pebble to the mossy rock upstream. Match failed, wrong stone. Backtrack 3 bends until the grooves align. Modern hikers waste miles without such failsafes. Each landmark's twin stayed in your pouch till you reached it, then dropped like a breadcrumb. One traveler's journal from 1527 mentions trails paved with pebbles of memory, poetic, until you realize those were likely chaski errors. The system had rules. Flat stones meant rest stops, round ones signaled steep climbs. But here's where scholars get twitchy. Was roughness a warning or a distance marker? Scrolls burned by Spanish priests might have held answers. Now we guess. You'd gamble too. Misreading a stone's grit could launch you off a switchback. Your trainer's voice hisses in memory. Smooth for safety, jagged for jeopardy. Practical, except that one jagged stone in your pouch feels comforting, like obsidian worry beads. Maybe rebels tweaked the code, a secret handshake in mineral form. Historians still argue whether roughness denoted danger or divine sights. Bet the chaskis laughed at our confusion. Rain blurs the trail. You clutch pebbles tighter, their edges biting your palm. No waterproof cases here. A 2013 study proved dampness alters stone textures. Did runners adjust codes mid-storm? No one knows. You're too busy mimicking that pottery shard pose, head tilted, squinting at a rock as rain soaks your tunic. The worst part? Fakes. Rival tribes planted decoy stones to misdirect messengers. Find a carved pebble that's too perfect. Trap. Your fingers learn to detect tool marks, Inca versus imposter. Ever licked a rock? Saliva reveals fresh chiseling. Tastes like betrayal and dirt. By noon, your pouch lightens, stones discarded at each landmark. Empty it too soon, and you're navigating blind. Too late, and you'll stagger under the weight. Balance was key, like a bartender guessing when you've had enough. Except instead of cutting you off, the Andes just cut you loose. Dusk brings the final test. Your last pebble, a flattened disc, should match the terracing ahead. It doesn't. The real marker's buried under avalanche debris. Your throat tightens. Do you trust the stone or the landslide's aftermath? Choose wrong, and your bones become the next warning sign. Choose right and live to restock your pouch. Either way, the mountain shrugs. Pebbles outlast us all. You round a bend, and there it stands, a lightning-scarred oak, its trunk twisted into a question mark. Your fingers find the matching pebble, an irregular lump with spiral grooves. Match confirmed. This tree's chaos becomes order, a pivot point in the Andean void. Forget street signs, nature herself etched the Inca's road manual. Rain carves gullies where trails once ran. You scan for the next marker, a boulder split by centuries of frost. Historians mapped over 40,000 kilometers of these roads, enough to orbit Earth. Yet, without pebble lore, you'd miss the split rock's true meaning. Turn east where the condor nests. Here's where things get weird. Some landmarks had personalities. A chronicler in 1590 wrote of a laughing waterfall near Tambo, its babble mimicking human chuckles. Dropped pebbles, they're supposedly triggered louder giggles. Scientists blame hydrocaustics. Locals swear it's the mountain's mischief. You half hope to find it, until your canteen's gurgle mocks you instead. Dust stings your eyes as you climb. One misread pebble misaligns a dozen turns like dominoes of doom. That jagged rhombus in your pouch, it should mirror the scree field ahead. But the slope's been bulldozed by avalanches. Your thumb traces the stone's edge, sharp enough to draw blood. Choice time. Trust pre-collapse logic or post-landslide reality. Notice the lichen patterns. Cyanobacteria colonies grew specific directions, sun worshippers pointing the way. Green splotches on north faces, black ones for south. Modern hikers still use this trick, though few admit they're copying Inca tech. You press a lichen-dusted pebble to the rock, colors align. Path secured. Ever play I Spy with a cliffside? That's rookie stuff. Chaskis spotted hawk nests 3 miles off, their positions signaling freshwater springs. Miss a nest, miss a lifeline. You squint at a distant speck, bird or boulder. Blink, and it's gone. Pebble geometry suggests follow the shadow's curve at noon. You check the sun 2 hours early. Crap. Myths claim certain rocks predicted weather. A smooth stone warmed before storms rough ones chilled. Test it now. Your palm stays dry on a pebble. Clear skies ahead. Meteorologists scoff, but satellite maps agree. Coincidence? Let's call it ancient weather app tech, the real nightmare. Copycat landmarks. 2 identical-looking gorges, one safe, one a death funnel. Your pebbles differentiate them via microscopic quartz veins. Lick test time. The bitter tang of pyrite means wrong turn. That's right, Inca runners tasted rocks. You gag, but live. Modern GPS never demands flavor sacrifices. Historians still argue whether cairns disrupted the pebble system. Did stacked stones clarify roots or confuse them? Your path forks at a precariously balanced rock pile. Your pebble suggests left, the cairn leans right. Choose. Now, that damp pebble smell, earthy and sharp, doesn't help. You go left. The cairn crumbles behind you, avalanche or assist. By twilight, landmarks blur. A petroglyph-covered cliff materializes, your final test. The pebble's etched lines should match the rock art. Torchlight reveals spirals and condor silhouettes. Your stone has a zigzag, panic rising until you spot newer carvings underfoot. Spanish initials, Pizarro, 1532. Vandalism as a trail marker. You laugh a bitter, tired sound. Emptying your pouch, you drop the last pebble. It clatters downslope, an offering or a mistake. The mountain absorbs it without comment. You're directionless now, but isn't that the point? Every journey ends where memory and stone release their grip. Dawn finds you at a maize field, pouch refilled with fresh pebbles. A farmer eyes your stash. Round one's mean rain coming, he says. You shrug. Rocks can't predict weather, except when they do. The Inca knew truths we're still decoding. Your next pebble winks in the light, its edge catching the sun like a promise. You crouch behind a half-collapsed wall, the ghost of a tambo way station. Moonlight glints off pottery shards that once held chicha beer. Here's where the relay magic happened. One breathless chaski handing off messages to the next, no batons. Just shouted words, swallowed by thin air. Rest, a luxury. Historians calculate they moved data faster than 16th century Europe messages, racing 240 kilometers a day. Your thighs burn just thinking about it. These runners were the empire's neurotransmitters, flashing signals between brain and fingertip. No time for heroics. You imagine a teen chaski gulping fermented maize juice, then sprinting uphill for 3 hours. His replacement waits ahead, calves smeared with llama fat to repel biting midges. Miss the handoff, and the Sapa Inca's tax demands turnstile. Ever pulled an all-nighter? Multiply that by jagged trails and altitude headaches. Some tambos doubled as hotels if you call stone ledges and flea-ridden straw luxury. Archaeologists found coca leaf caches here, ancient Red Bull. Chew enough, and maybe hallucinated motivational coaches. Faster, whispers a spectral elder, or we'll turn your toes into necklace beads. Messages ricocheted voice to voice, distortion guaranteed. A border skirmish becomes bear migration, becomes brew better beer. Solution, poetry. Rhymes survived relay decay better than prose. That love sonnet you heard earlier might started as a troop deployment order. Historians still argue whether runners used coded whistles, Andean Morse code, or just screamed louder. Your turn to shout. A nearby gorge echoes back fragments of your voice, syllables crumbling like old adobe. Chaskis exploited this, timing yells to cliff walls for extra reach. Clever, until parrots learned to mimic warnings. Ambush ahead. Squawks a rainbow-feathered prankster. You toss a pebble, it mimics a falling far away. Check the ground, those faint depressions. Not animal tracks, generations of sprinting feet pounding the same spot. Like a conveyor belt of human urgency. Modern cardiac studies suggest their hearts were 20% larger mountain-fed engines. You try sprinting. 10 steps in, the air tastes of broken promises. Waystations hid darker roles. Spanish accounts mention whisper rooms, curved walls amplifying conversations for spies. A chaski's offhand complaint about blisters could mean execution. Your fingers brush a stone with ear-like carvings. Coincidence? Squint, and it resembles a human ear. Queasy nostalgia, history's original wiretap. Fueling this system meant industrial-scale snacks. Stockpiles of Chunyo freeze-dried potatoes dotted the routes, ancient energy bars. Drop a pebble in the storage hole. Hear how deep the crunch echoes. Hollow sound. Hunger looms. One account claims runners gnawed raw quinoa grains mid-stride, edible confetti. The real mind-bender. No backups. Lose one runner to a puma or precipice, and the chain snapped. Survivors had to double their routes. Punishment laps with extra altitude. Your calves cramp sympathetically. That rock shaped like a twisted ankle isn't helping. Dawn approaches. Last shift, you spot a lichen-covered bench. The final Tambo's message throne. Sit, and your butt discovers why runners preferred standing. A 1583 ledger lists this station's glory days. 1,200 messages monthly. Now, wind hisses through cracks, rehearsing forgotten words. A scrap of 500-year-old rope clings to a post, frayed testament to hurry. You pocket a pebble from the station's dust, oval, neutral, unreadable. Maybe it once meant relief or run until you vomit. Either way, it's yours now. The next Tambo lies buried under a landslide or a Starbucks. Time blurs paths, but the relay's heartbeat lingers in your wrist's pulse. Miss a beat, and the mountain revokes your rhythm. Your fingertips brush a coil of knotted cords dangling from a rusty wall hook, camouflaged by centuries of dust. This is no macrame project. Each knot's twist and color screams bureaucratic genius. Imagine an ancient spreadsheet. Tax quotas in crimson cord. Troop numbers in indigo. But here's the kicker. Wool absorbs gossip better than parchment ever could. A faded yellow string near the top. That's pure state business. Llama herds counted, granaries audited. But untangle the fuzzy green one beneath it. Feel those irregular knots. Court whispers. The third wife of a governor sneezing too much. A coded health report. Or maybe a bad cold joke. Historians still argue whether Kippis tracked actual influenza outbreaks or just royal paranoia about sneezes stealing souls. You try counting knots like a tax clerk. Third loop from the left equals 17 potatoes. Blink, and it's 17 soldiers. Or 17 days until the corn harvest. The system's brilliance and flaw was its flexibility. One man's 5 could be another's attack at dawn. Hence the pebbles. Reach into your pouch. That smooth black stone matches a knot cluster here, double-checking the black cords, tracking border sentries. Pebbles stopped lazy chaskis from inventing troop numbers during bathroom breaks. Find a mismatch, and your sandals got recycled into rope. Legend says master khipu keepers could read cords by taste. Wool dyed with mollusk ink had a briny tang. Try it. Lick the rusty brown thread. Congratulations, you just sampled 500-year-old fermented urine. Turns out Andean dyers used aged pea as mordant. Quirky. Absolutely. OSHA proved. Hard pass. Sudden wind makes the cords dance. Each sway mimics a chaskis sprint, information in motion. See the frayed end. That's where a runner tore off a knot cluster mid-stride, shouting the rest. Spanish priests burned thousands of these devil's ladders. Missing the real scandal, some quipus held love poetry. Imagine a teenager smuggling a crush's knotted confession. 7 loops mean, I'll meet you past the waterfall. Your thumbnail finds a suspicious knot, double-looped, achingly precise. Modern scholars would murder for this. Well, academically, it could encode the location of a lost silver mine or the emperor's favorite potato recipe. Reverse engineering quipus is like reading a shredded cookbook while blindfolded. Rain patters outside. Humidity tightens the cords, shifting their lengths. Ancient accountants swore rainy days made quipus lie about crop yields. Your pebble feels heavier. Did some long-dead clerk waited during a drought? Squint, and the wall's cracks form a ledger. One earthquake, payable in human sacrifices. Play a morbid game. Tug a cord, the empire's economy unravels. A loose knot meant missing troops. 2 loose knots meant executed troops. 3, let's not find out. That pebble in your palm starts itching. Maybe it's a backup for please don't kill me. Footsteps echo, or is it the wind? Early colonizers wrote of khipu keepers, memorizing entire chords through touch alone. Blind elders rocking in moonlight, mumbling numbers like lullabies. You close your eyes, the knots become braille. Surplus, famine, rebellion. Dawn bleaches the cords to bone white. Time to move. But first pluck a single red thread. It hums between your fingers, a frozen shout. Somewhere, a scholar's head explodes. You pocket it anyway. The mountain sighs. Another crack widens in history's spreadsheet. Your boots skid on gravel, pretending to be a road. The Andes laugh at your concept of flat. This isn't walking. It's vertical chess with death. Every step's a calculation. Plant foot here. Avoid that loose rock, lean left before the gust hits. You're not hiking. You're defying physics on a trail thinner than your guilt for skipping leg day. The Inca didn't build roads. They built stone ribcages around mountains. See those stairs? Each block's angled to shed monsoon rains, a drainage system older than forks. Mainstream historians gush about the engineering, forgetting the chaskis who sprinted these slopes hauling dried alpaca hearts and panic. Your lungs burn, thin airs embezzling oxygen. Chew coca leaves like the runners did bitter confetti on your tongue. It's not doping if a civilization endorses it. Besides, the real buskell, that cliff 2 inches to your right. No guardrails, just a courtesy flirtation with the void. Landslides rewrite these paths nightly. Runners memorized fresh routes by dawn. Pebbles updated faster than GPS. Spot the charcoal smudge on that boulder. Chaskis marked safe detours with llama dung ash. Quirky until you're licking rocks for directions. A pebble slips from your pouch. You freeze, it rolls toward the edge. Not the shiny one, the one shaped like a crooked tooth. Catch it. Good. Now check it against the scree slope below. Matches. Proceed. Mismatch. That's not gravel down there. Those are your ancestors' dreams of grandkids. Historians still argue whether landslides were nature's pranks or engineered traps for Spanish horses. Either way, gravity's the empire's unpaid enforcer. That bend ahead, locals call it qullqa piedi neck pinch. It's narrower than your dating prospects. Turn sideways. Breathe in. Pretend you're paper. Your elbow scraps rock, a raw streak matching the striated cliffs. These stones are archivists. Scratch a pebble on outcrops, leave mineral signatures. Some say chaski's blood still stains quartzite veins. More likely, it's oxidized copper, but poetry's cheaper than lab tests. Wind howls through a cave mouth above. Perfect acoustics. Runners used such spots as amplifiers, relaying shouts across valleys. Try it. Scream taxes suck. The echo lasts 6 centuries. A condor glares, feathered IRS agent. Check your pebble against the next landmark, a lichen-covered boulder shaped like a sleeping vicuña. Wrong stone. Oops. The path ahead crumbles. Slide. Scrape. Dig fingers into a crevice. Close call. A chaski's ghost heckles. Imagine sandal-clad parkour before it was cool. Above, a rope bridge flutters, Inca engineering at its most audacious. Grass fibers woven to hold armies. Now, it's twine dandruff. Test it. The first plank snaps. Solidarity with the Weil E-Coyote fan club. Find another way. Scramble up a switchback carved for mountain goats with a death wish. Your pebble pouch tears, 7 stones escape. Panic. Memorize their shapes mid-tumble. Round 1, jagged flat, egg crescent too late. They're gone. Hope they weren't the ones meaning rope, ladder, and fresh water. The summit mocks you with sunshine. Rest here, they said. It'll be fun, they said. They were conquistadors, hallucinating gold fumes. At least the view's revenge enough. Terraced farms stitch the slopes, green equations balancing hunger and altitude. Your last pebble warms in your palm, pitted like a tiny meteor. Press it to a petroglyph of a chaski mid-fall. The rock drinks the gesture. Some say these carvings are prayers. Others, warnings. Today, it's a Yelp review. 0 stars. Would not plummet again. Clouds swallow the valley below a cotton avalanche. Time to descend. The chaskis rule echoes. Trust the pebbles, not your knees. Your joints counter. Betrayal tastes like ibuprofen. Step, slide, repeat. The stone in your fist etches survival into your skin. One more tally in gravity's ledger. Wind licks your cracked lips, carrying the ghost of roasted corn. Your stomach growls like a jaguar with regrets. This isn't hunger, it's a shakedown by altitude. The Inca Empire thrived here how? By turning desperation into a delivery app coded in pebbles. Ahead, crumbling stone silos cling to the cliffside. Qullqas, they called them, giant pantries stocked with freeze-dried potatoes and charqui. Mainstream history adores these storehouses. Each could feed a village for months. Less romantic. The runners who crawled here half-dead, cross-checking pebbles to ensure the Sapa Inca's tax collectors ate first. Your fingers brush a smooth stone in your pouch oval, cold. It matches the depot carved into the slope. Inside, ancient rat droppings litter the floor. Guess even the Empire's master planners couldn't outsmart rodent stoners. One quirky fact. Some depots stored more than food. Hallucinogenic seeds for shamans. Dried frogs for medicine. Peppers so fiery, they'd make a conquistador cry for his mama. Forgot your pebble? Enjoy explaining to the court why the plague cure tasted like chili powder. A landslide wiped out 3 depots last monsoon. Pebbles told runners which routes to scrap. Today, you're threading past boulders that crushed supply lines centuries ago. Historians still argue whether food shortages killed the Inca or Spanish steel. Try chewing that debate on an empty stomach. Your next waypoint, a cliffside ledge shaped like a llama's ear. Squint. Moss patterns reveal a code. White lichen means rotating stock. Black streaks, contaminated by ghost stories. Drop a pebble here. Hope the next runner knows rat-gnawed venison isn't a delicacy. The Empire's secret weapon. Chunyo. Freeze-dried potatoes lighter than guilt. Carry 50 pounds uphill, no problem. Rehydrate them, and boom, you've got a meal that tastes like wet cardboard. But hey, survivals never had a Michelin star. Sunset bleeds into the peaks. You're delirious enough to hallucinate a burger stand. Instead, scratch marks on a boulder. Runners tallied passing shipments here. 17 pebbles stacked in a niche meant 17 days until the next salt delivery. Lose 1 stone. Somewhere, a village starts boiling its shoes for broth. Moonlight reveals a shattered qullqa. Inside, a single shriveled potato. Take it. The Inca's entire collapse shrunk to a snack. You pocket it like a morbid souvenir. No time to dwell. The next depot's 1,000 feet up, marked by a pebble, with edges sharp as hunger pangs. Dawn cracks the sky. Your calves scream. Your lungs filed a formal protest. But the stones don't care. They're relics of a system that outran starvation itself. Drop your final pebble into a crevice. It's job done. Somewhere, a long-dead chaski nods. You've kept the empire's heartbeat thumping, one gnawed potato at a time. You round a bend, steel glints in the dirt. A rust-conquered helmet. 16th century roadkill. The conquistadors arrived praising Inca roads as devil's cobwebs, then cut every thread. Mainstream fact. By 1572, the chaski network was skeletonized. Too efficient, too hard to control. Your boot nudges a scattered pebble pile, deliberate. Some runners kept stone codes alive in secret. Quirk alert. Archaeologists found a Spanish-era pouch near Quito, Pebbles wrapped in a love letter to Atahualpa's niece. Rebellion by rock collection. A clay shard crunches underfoot, blue and white patterns. Colonial majolica. The Spanish preferred wine over coca tea. Runners who swapped cargo lists for sacramental wine manifests got extra rations. Judas paychecks paid in fermented grapes. You spot a rock carving, half Inca spiral, half Christian cross. Syncretism on sandstone. Some chaskis played double agent, carrying church missives in one hand, rebellion pebbles in the other, forgot which hand was which. Instant martyrdom. Moonlight paints a ruined way station. Rats skitter where llamas once rested. The Spanish introduced mules, poor substitutes for altitude-hardened runners. Mules demanded valleys, chaskis laughed at cliffs. Guess who lost? Parchment scraps cling to a thorn bush. Tax records, census lists, all Latin script. The khipu archives burned as sorcery scrolls. Pebbles were dismissed as child's toys, tossed into gullies. Historians still argue whether the runner's collapse took months or minutes. Your thumb finds a pebble etched with a tiny horse. Post-conquest, some chaskis tracked Spanish troop movements. A smooth stone meant cavalry sleeping. Jagged meant lances sharpened. Miss a drop-off. Your head became a pike ornament. Wind carries the reek of old fire. They torched the qullqas first, starving the highlands into submission. Smart, unless you're the idiot who forgot Spain's ships couldn't airlift salt pork to 13,000 feet. A child's sandal lies half-buried, tiny, leather, chewed by time. Chaski training schools were banned. Parents taught kids in caves, reciting roots like bedtime stories. Get caught. The penalty was a bronze collar, eternal servitude in silver mines. You pocket a twisted nail. Progress, Spanish style. Roadside markers became gallows. Runners became sinful marathoners forced to race for conquistador bets. Win, and you lived. Lose, and your pebbles fed the magistrate's chicken coop. Dawn exposes a cracked grinding stone. Corn kernels fossilized in its grooves. The Spanish preferred wheat. But you can't bake baguettes on passes where oxygen's a rumor. Some traditions outstubborn even empire. Your canteen's empty. Irony's a bitch. The same mountain springs that hydrated chaskis now irrigate Spanish descent vineyards. Sommeliers rave about minerality. Try surviving a week on Malbec and regret. A shadow crosses the trail, vulture or condor. Doesn't matter. Both feast on abandoned dreams. The last official chaski retired in 1594. His pension, a rusty machete and a plot of stingy soil. You find ochre-stained rock, the color of dried blood. Quarry marks, battle residue. Historians waffle. Locals whisper it's coated in chaski blood, a warning to rebels. Rub it, and ghosts complain about your grip. The path dead ends at a landslide. 4 centuries prior, this was sabotage. Spanish engineers blew cliffs to tame the trail. Jokes on them, Inca mortar still holds stronger than Madrid's colonial debt records. Sunset again. You're sipping bitter brew from coca leaves, old habit. Somewhere, a shepherd's dog barks at buried pebbles. The stones remember. The road forgets. You spit the pulp and walk. Your heel grinds against something round, a pebble worn smooth by centuries of rain. Modern hikers call them Inca marbles. Shepherds toss them into gullies for luck. Mainstream fact, a 2008 excavation near Machu Picchu unearthed a chaskis pouch, 34 pebbles arranged like a mountain ridge. A shepherd passes, her goats bleating at your backpack. She nods at the stone in your palm. Los abuelos say they're still counting steps. Her dog digs nearby, unearthing a soda can and an obsidian flake. Progress layers itself like dirt. You pocket the pebble. It's warm, strange, given the Andean chill. 10 years back, a Lima Tech bro tried selling Pebble GPS, app-guided tour using replicated stone codes. Investors laughed. Hasta la vista, venture capital. The trail narrows. Your shadow stretches into a ravines, a ink, a runner's ghost. Doubtful. More likely dehydration. Those colonial-era wine cellars didn't stock Gatorade. A rock pile emerges, part shrine, part trash heap. Locals add stones for safe passage. Tourists add gum wrappers. Quirk alert. A 2019 study found 72% of pebbles here came from other continents, geological stowaways in cruise ship ballast. Globalization, meet archaeology. You kneel brushing dust from a jagged stone. Faint scratches mar its surface. Prayer marks, tally counts. A 2012 theory claimed they're primitive star charts. Peer-reviewed journals roasted that like chestnuts. Wind whistles through a nearby cleft. A poo's breath, the shepherd warned. You sip your coat, the sound morphing into a hum. Maybe tinnitus. Maybe the mountain disagrees. A raven lands on a rusted signpost mirador. 2 km. It caws once, flies west. Good omen. Bad Wi-Fi. Who knows? You follow anyway. The view rewards you valleys terraced like crooked staircases. Inca roads snake through them, barely wider than your shoulders. Mainstream rebuttal. Spanish chroniclers called them goat paths. Goats wish they had this balance. Your water bottle sweats in the thinning air. 3,000 years prior, chaskis gulped from clay jars, nostrils bleeding, lungs screaming. Romanticize that, poetry boy. A thorn snags your sleeve, revealing a hidden petroglyph beneath. crossed circles, dots in rows. You've seen this pattern in Cusco museums, khipu nodes, or a bored shepherd's doodle. Interpretation's a gamble. The sun dips, long shadows become ink blots. Your headlamp flickers on, startling a vizcacha. Its eyes glow twin pebbles in the dark. Cute, until it hisses like a broken radiator. You spot a modern cairn beer bottles for rocks. Some punk tagged it with spray paint. Jose was here, 2021. Jose's now a Cusco bartender. The mountains outlive us all. Beneath the cans, a flat stone sticks up too straight for nature. Pry it loose. Faint carvings swirl spirals within spirals. Historians still argue whether these were maps or something liturgical. Your phone buzzes, no signal, just a low battery shriek. You silence it. Let the Spanish missives burn. Let the khipu knots unravel. Some silences taste better than notifications. A helicopter drones past, rescue team, or coke smuggler. Either way, it's loud. Chaskis wood shot it down with slings. You settle for a rude hand gesture. Moonrise bathes the trail in blue. Your pebble gleams, phantom light, or quartz flecks. Doesn't matter. It's yours now. The next shepherd will inherit it when your bones join the dust. You yawn altitude or exhaustion. Both. Those Inca marathoners napped in shifts, dreaming of pebble-paved horizons. Your sleeping bag smells like sweat and cheap sunscreen. Progress stinks. Dawn cracks the sky. The pebble stays in your pocket, its edges worn smooth by time, thumbs forgetting. One day, another fool will pocket it too. The road prefers circles. Moonlight licks the trail ahead, a silvered path only fools follow. You're that fool, headlamp off, the elder's first lesson. Shadows become tutors. A rock jabs your boot, nature's pop quiz. Mainstream fact. Digs near Quito uncovered adolescent skeletons with tibias thickened like oak, proof of teenage. Chaskis running 50-mile trials. The air thins, your lungs mimic accordions. An owl hoots, or is that a whistle? 300 years ago, trainers hid in cliffs, blowing bone flutes to simulate animal calls. Recruits had to ID each note, miss 3, and you'd spend seasons scrubbing erpu jars. Something tugs your jacket, spinning reveals empty slope. Hallucinations. Maybe. Folklore claims trainers slipped hallucinogens into chicha drinks, thinning the veil between worlds. Imagine explaining that to OSHA. A cairn glows ahead, stone stack capped with, "Is that a Barbie torso?" Modern pilgrims lack flair. Beneath it, a rusted tin holds Polaroids, 1980s hikers making duck lips. You add a protein bar, future archaeologists will weep. Wind carries a whisper, khipu, khipu. Your neck prickles. Real or hypoxic brain fog. Scholars still argue whether trainers used ventriloquism to spook recruits, or if the mountains truly murmured. Your foot finds a depression, hidden by centuries of dust. Test pits show chaskis ran blindfolded here, memorizing footfalls like piano keys. Step wrong, and you'd plunge into a training pit. Final Exams wear brutal. Stars spin above, Orion's belt cinching the sky. You trip, palms scraping grit. Blood beads black in the moonlight. Chaskis chewed coca for this, spit mixed with ash to clot wounds. Your first aid kit's neosporin and regret. A boulder looms carved with handholds. Scaling it barehanded was a rite of passage. Fail, and you'd haul llama dung uphill until dawn. Succeed, and you'd get more running. Joy. Moonlight catches a crevice. Something gleams inside. A fingernail. No, oval and pale. Bone flute fragments plague these trails. Quirky twist. A 2016 journal proposed they wear incentive whistles, playing tunes for pacing. Peer review called it delightfully deranged. You pocket the shard. 12 generations back, someone's lips touched this. Romance or ruin? Hard to say. History's a buffet, take what fits your hunger. Clouds swallow the moon. Your knees quiver, muscles singing show tunes of despair. Chaskis faced worse. Recruits starved for days, then sent to trace fog-blind switchbacks. Drop a pebble. Start over. Lose the pebble. Study pottery instead. A howl splits the dark, llama or puma. Doesn't matter. You bolt, pack slapping like a panicked heartbeat. Elders staged predator chases to spike adrenaline. Washout rates hit 60%. Daybreak stains the horizon piss yellow. Your canteens dry, tongue like burnt leather. Ancient trainers made recruits drink through llama wool, filtering parasites, testing patience. You'd fail. You'd whine on TikTok. Sunlight reveals a petroglyph, stick figures carrying crescent shapes. Baskets or slings for fending off condors. Open debate rages. Were these training manuals or Bronze Age comic strips? You collapse onto lichen-crusted stone. Ants swarm your boot, tenacious little drill sergeants. Chaskis napped in 2-hour bursts, dreams interrupted by pebble quizzes. Name this ridge. Recall the next shrine. Fail, and you'd wake to icy water dumped down your tunic. The trail ahead blurs, heat waves, or hallucinations. Either way, you shuffle forward. 1 foot, another, just like they did. The mountain watches unimpressed, but amused. Your fingers brush grit from the shrine's base, crumbled mortar and beetle wings. The ants retreat, forming a scowling mandible shape. Coincidence? Unlikely. This slab once held polished stones, each a chaskis plea to Apu, the mountain god. Mainstream fact. Digs near Pachacamac uncovered 3-layer shrines, pebbles on top, shattered pottery below, llama bones beneath, layers of desperation. You unzip your pouch, 4 pebbles left. The smoothest one goes here, a burnt umber oval. Tradition demands river stones, but the trail's stingy. A dusty aspirin rolls out instead. Oops, folklore claims a runner once offered a goji berry, triggering a landslide. Apu dislikes substitutions. Wind whistles through the shrine's cracks, a watery bird call. Historians still argue whether these rituals were symbolic or literal toll payments to deities. Your guidebook joked about needing a receipt. The air thickens, suddenly all wet wool and ozone. Uh-oh. Someone's braided tufts of vicuña fur into the stones, golden threads snaking through gray. Modern hikers add stranger things. Spark plugs, guitar picks, a Taco Bell hot sauce packet. You press your pebble into a gap, half expecting a cosmic vending machine clunk. The summit looms, a jagged canine tooth, 2 generations back. Chaskis cached pebbles here for emergencies, encrypted wagers against fate. Lose your stones mid-run. Grab one, and pray it didn't mark a cliffside tomb. Shadows shift, your pebble now glows faintly, trick of the light, or divine side-eye. A 2008 thesis claimed shrine stones held quartz veins, amplifying moonlight into ritual lasers. Colleagues roasted the author at a conference, glitter bombing his PowerPoint. Your calf muscle twitches, a Morse code warning. Chaskis endured cramp rituals, elders slapping their legs with stinging nettles. Pain is a louder teacher, their proverb went. You choose YouTube tutorials, something clatters downhill, your backup pebble escaping. 5 heartbeats of freefall silence. Retrieval means descending, and a poo hates backtrackers. The 16th century chronicler Guaman Poma wrote of runners who turned around, finding their villages erased by fog. Myth or manual, hard to tell. 3 breaths. 5. The mountain waits. You surrender the pebble, a raven swoops past, cawing like a cranky checkout clerk. Omen or ornithology. Either way, your pack feels lighter. The trail ahead narrows, a stone gutter worn smooth by generations of sandals. Your last pebble warms in your palm, charged by panic or placebo. Chaskis whispered to their stones, updating them like cloud files. River flooded, took the South Pass. Don't trust the blue khipu, twilight bleeds across the scree. You hum a camping radio ballad, ridiculous, but keeps the dread nibbling instead of biting. Trainers touted this tactic, mental llama wool against fear. Also literal llama wool. Itchy. A lichen scabbed post marks the shrine's edge, one nail holding a tin cup. Rainwater and dead flies float inside. You toast the air, pretend it's pisco sour. Ritual demands more, but your germs demand less. The wind stills. A poo's verdict. No rock slides yet. Your offerings accepted or ignored. Either way, the path forward stays etched in dusk, a charcoal line toward nowhere recognizable. You adjust your laces, ready to test the mountain's mercy. Your boots squelch through mud, disguised as solid ground, each step a gamble with gravity. 17 minutes ago, you swear this stretch was dry. Chaski remains found near Vilcabamba reveal the truth. Tibias pitted like termite-chewed wood. Their bones broke under empire-sized expectations. A pebble winks ahead, obsidian black. Survivors left these as tombstones. You crouch, fingertips tracing its glassy curve. No name etched, just the memory of lactic acid burning through muscle. Historians still argue whether these stones marked actual graves or symbolic rest stops for the soul. Your kneecap pops in solidarity. Something rustles behind a boulder, probably a vizcacha. Or a phantom chaskis ghost, if you believe 1980s tabloids. One fringe theory claims runners faked deaths to escape service, staging pebble markers as alibis. The truth's likely duller. Dehydration, altitude, a snapped ankle mid-stride. Rain slicks the path, turning shale into a greased puzzle. You crab walk sideways, thighs shrieking. Chaskis ran barefoot, here their souls calloused into topographic maps. Blisters, a luxury. Imagine sprinting with feet wrapped in damp llama wool, the original blister prevention. A cairn appears, 5 stones high. The bottom one's quartz, defiantly clean. You add your 7th pebble rough sandstone. Tradition says survivors contributed 1 per doomed runner they'd known. But math fails. Millions of dead, only thousands of stones. Maybe each pebble represented a year stolen, or a prayer recycled. Your canteen's down to 3 sips. Chaskis chewed raw potatoes for moisture, countless skins fossilized along these trails. Archaeologists once found a mummified runner's satchel, still cradling rotten tubers and a desiccated frog. Lunch, medicine, a prank. Academia remains stumped. Wind howls through a skull-shaped outcrop, nature's morbid whistle. Guides warn tourists not to linger here after dusk. A poo claims the tired, they mutter. You check your watch, 3:14 p.m., plenty of time. Until you remember the watch died yesterday. A scarred rock face looms, adorned with lichen-stained handprints. Some adolescent, others broad-palmed. Touchstone graffiti, or testaments from runners steadying themselves before the final ascent. Your own hand hovers, close enough to feel the stone's chill. Your bluff gets called. You withdraw. 2 condors spiral overhead, black commas editing the sky. Chaskis viewed them as psychopomps, Uber drivers for the dead. Modern hikers snap photos. You count feathers instead of steps, distraction as survival tactic. Your left bootlace snaps, the aglet sacrificed to the mud gods. You tie a granny knot, tribal elders would cringe. Proper chaski sandals used plant fiber cords, dipped in llama dung ash to repel insects. Your DEET spray feels cowardly. Sunset stains the snowfields rust red. You pass another marker, this pebble cracked down the middle. Symbolic of a life cut short. Or just bad luck with a trekking pole. Your guidebook's silent. Clouds swallow the summit, obscuring the last switchback. Your lungs burn like overcooked pottery. Runners trained with weighted packs, rams strapped to their backs. Failure meant carrying corpses instead. You adjust your day pack, suddenly grateful for granola bars and spare socks. A rusted tin glints in the scree, 1940 sardine can. Nope. Peruvians still use these as makeshift shrines. Peek inside. A cigarette butt, a peso coin, a molar. The dead don't rest, they collect odd jobs. Moonlight breaches the clouds, transforming sludge into mercury. Chaski ghosts supposedly walked this alchemical path, you half expect spectral handshakes, or at least a thumbs up. All you get is dew sinking into your collar. 3 more switchbacks. 2, 1. Your final pebble hums in your pocket, or maybe that's your phone on vibrate. You drop the stone at the pass, a tiny thud lost in the wind. Somewhere, a raven laughs. Moonlight glints off something nestled in scree, not another pebble. You fish out a knotted cord, its colors bleached to ghostly pastels. Khipu strands carried tax records and troop counts, but some whispered sweeter cargo. Your thumb finds a tight cluster of knots, 8 in rapid succession. Mainstream texts say these tracked grain stores. Yet, in 2012, diggers near Machu Picchu found a khipu buried with a woman's sandals, its knots forming phonetic rhymes about courtyard shadows and touching foreheads. A smooth pebble rolls from your pack, rose quartz, warm from your pocket. Rough ones signaled grief, but this. Archaeologists found matching stones in lovers' tombs, one under a chaskis ribs, another in a weaver's grave 2 valleys apart. You press the stone to the cord. The knots bumps align like braille. Coincidence or a tactile love letter? Some scholars insist romantic khippus were state propaganda, poems praising the Sapa Inka, not personal notes. Your calloused fingers vote otherwise. Wind snags the cord, knots flutter like cobwebs. In 1987, a farmer swore he found a khipu wrapped around a llama's femur. Scratched into the bone, wait by the lichen stone next moon. Quacks dismissed it until carbon dating placed both artifacts at 1520 CE. A condor screeches your cue to move. You pocket the cord, its knots now heavy with implication. Historians still argue whether these were exceptions, or if thousands of love songs rotted away in Andean rains. Your headlamp catches a glyph, a heart chiseled into rock. Modern vandalism, maybe, but look closer. Tiny chaski footprints circle it, pebble-sized divots marking each toe. You snap a photo. The flash ruins the magic. Rain taps Morse code on your hood. Imagine sprinting through this with a lover's khipu bouncing against your ribs. Would the words stay intact? Or would the knots unravel, leaving you with half a poem and pulverized hopes? The trail narrows, stone walls close in. You sidestep a crevice, hand brushing moss that feels like old velvet. Chaskis rubbed these patches for luck, or to remember a lover's touch on solitary runs. Either way, the moss thrives centuries later. A rusted can peers from ferns, another makeshift shrine. Inside, a dried orchid, a bullet casing, a khipu fragment dyed blush pink. Your guide mentioned a 1990s theory that prostitutes left these as coded ads, more likely a heartbroken hiker's shrine. Your boots kick a pebble, it clatters downslope, echoing like laughter. Rough edges mean it once signaled grief, but time wears all stones smooth. You wonder if sorrow softens too, or just gets easier to carry. Moonlight dies. Your phone's flashlight reveals a final switchback and a figure painted on rock. 2 chaskis holding hands, pigments faded to whispers. Vandalism rates low here, unless ancient teens had spray cans. The path flattens your suddenly walking pavement. A tour group passes, snapping selfies. Their guide lectures on khipu accounting. You smirk, clutching your rose quartz. Some truths don't fit in PowerPoints or history books. Rain returns harder now. You duck into a tunnel carved for 16th century mules. Someone's scratched Marco Rosa 2021 beside older marks. Indecipherable, intimate. Plus saw change. Dawn cracks the horizon pink as your pebble. You leave both at the tunnel's mouth. Let the next romantic idiot find them and rewrite the past again. The air bites sharper now. Each breath razors your lungs. You're above 15,000 feet, where condors circle like vultures over a math test. Frozen scrub cracks underfoot, soundtrack of a land that hates warmth. A glint stops you, not ice, but glass. A modern oxygen tank lies shattered beside a hole dug with pickaxes. Inside, a leather pouch spilling pebbles. Archaeologists found a 1999 tomb here, a chaski preserved by permafrost. Mid-stride for 5 centuries, you kneel, crampons scraping stone. The tomb's replica in Cusco shows him clutching a khipu. Reality was messier, frozen snot crusting his face, toenails black from endless runs. Heroism's never photogenic. Your gloves brush something fibrous, llama wool frozen to the rocks. Excavators logged 12 pebble types here, including a jasper shard dropped by a trainee. Carved on it, "Mama, I'll make you Quechua royalty." Teenage ambition stinks in every era. Wind howls through a fracture. It sounds like whistling. The chaski's bone flute still works, say researchers. Play El Condor Pasa on it, and undergrads will sob into their field notes. You resist the urge to try. Sunlight hits the pouch, pebbles glitter with frost. One's etched with crude stairs, maybe a mountain pass. Researchers matched it to a trail near Ollantaytambo, which collapsed in 1563, a dead man's map to a dead road. You pocket a pebble bad form, but the plasticky chill feels alive. In 2007, a grad student stole a frozen sandal. It reeked of fermented sweat and hubris. Curators still curse her name at conferences. A shadow looms, stone slabs stacked like ill-gotten pancakes. This tomb wasn't solo. 16 chaskis lay here for the drone scans. Their pebbles form a spiral pattern. No one knows why. Maybe an off-duty game, or a code lost to lunch breaks. Your thermos sloshes, coca tea gone tepid. You sip anyway. The 1999 team found coca leaves in the chaski's cheek, chewed to numbness. Modern runners gobble ibuprofen. Progress. Plastic rustles. You unroll a conservation diagram. The frozen man's sandals had fox fur liners and blue algae streaks. A quirk. Maybe he waded through glacial ponds, desperate for a shortcut, or blitzed through a dye workshop's laundry day. Diggers also found a silver pin piercing his earlobe. Mainstream texts say only nobles wore metal. So was this guy moonlighting as a jeweler, or did the Sapa Inca hand out swag for top runners? You squint at your map. His route passed 3 volcanoes, all active. Imagine sprinting with lava glowing through your soles. Deliver the message or become a human torch. No YOLO merch in the gift shop. A clatter your ice axe dislodges a stone box. Inside, 7 teeth, a braided cord, and a rodent skull. Ritual offering, or some chaskis' gross lunch leftovers. Academia's poshest feud started over less. Clouds smother the sun, the cold gets personal. You've read about grave goods, but this feels intrusive. A fingernail clings to the box's edge, painted crimson. Fashion, signal, ancient nail art regret. Shivering kicks in. Time to bail. As you retreat, your boot crunches a frozen puddle, revealing a leather strap. Another sandal. Nope, a toddler's mitten. Historians still argue whether kids trained as runners, or if some chaski dragged their daycare along. The trail down feels endless. Your lungs burn altitude's favorite prank. Halfway, you spy a modern shrine. Energy bar wrappers, a sock, 1 lonely pebble. Pilgrims still leave gifts here. The dead chaskis would have preferred a Gatorade IV drip. At base camp, you thaw your find. The pebble sweats condensation, eroding its carvings. By dawn, it'll be a paperweight. You almost envy the frozen tomb, eternity in ice beats obscurity, in a Tennessee dorm room. Rain drums your tent. You Google Inca runner DNA, get 6 dubious ancestry ads. The real studies are paywalled. Typical. Science moves slower than a frostbitten chaski. Dawn's glare hits your phone screen. There's an email. Urgent. Return artifact immediately. You chuck the pebble into a coffee cup. Let some future intern puzzle over that. The hike out smells of wet stone and defeat. A tour group jogs past. Hydration packs sloshing. Their guide boasts about mystic Inca endurance. You eye their pristine sneakers. None would last a mile in 1523. Your rental car's heat blasts luxury. As the valley fades in the rear view, you spot a condor. It glides toward the tomb, ready to reclaim what the earth stole. You salute it with lukewarm gas station coffee. Circle of life, baby. Your tires crunch over volcanic grit, a sound like celery murder. The rental's GPS blinks no signal, which feels appropriate. You're retracing a stretch of qullqa where 3 chaski paths once crossed. Modern maps show blankness, the empire's vengeful shrug. A landslide forces a detour down a gully stinking of sulfur. Your headlights catch an overhang crusted with petroglyphs. Pull over. Bad idea. Always. The car door creaks, a sound that get you shanked in Silentera horror films. You sweep your flashlight. The etchings show stick figure runners. But something's off. One holds a pebble cluster shaped like a fist. Another's pouch spills stones, deliberate vandalism, or coded dissent. Mainstream texts mention tax evasion, rerouted shipments to feed drought-starved villages. But rebel chaskis left no diaries, only whispers in Jesuit letters. The runners, stones lie as often as their tongues. A rock shifts, underfoot you stumble into a crevice. Spider webs brush your face, nope, just old rope fibers. Tug it, a clay pot emerges, crusted with lichen. Inside, 37 pebbles, each scratched with excess. Historians still argue whether these mark sabotaged roots or tally hijacked potato sacks. One nutjob theory claims rebels used capybara bones as counterfeit pebbles, fooling overseers until the llamas noticed. Your thumb rubs a stone, it's lighter than the tomb pebble. Pumice, traders shipped it from the coast for exfoliating royal calluses. Rebel irony, turning spa rocks into tools of economic warfare. A bat squeaks overhead. You picture disgruntled chaskis meeting here, moonlit huddles over redistributed quinoa, their punishment if caught. Toe amputation. No toes, no running. No running, no honor. A fate worse than death for Andean Usain Bolt wannabes. Wind riffles the pot's dust. You sneeze, triggering a rockfall clatter. Flashlight beams reveal a niche behind the debris. Inside, a child's sandal and a shattered jar oozing something sticky. Molten chocolate, fermented potato beer. Either way, party foul. Your boot squelches in the muck. Scholars found similar jars near rebel way stations, traces of coca-spiked ayahuasca. Imagine tripping chaskis redirecting tax llamas to dance parties. The Sapa Inca's IRS probably lacked a humor department. A glint in the jar's shards, fish hooks. Coastal contraband, smuggling sushi-grade anchovies to landlocked rebels. Or DIY toe replacement surgery kits. The past resists easy explanations. You pocket a pumice pebble, it's ethically murky. But so is academia. In 1983, a farmer near qullqa plowed up a basket of finger bones. Each bore pebble-carved notches, possibly a rebel's grisly ledger. Curators locked it away, then lost it during a funding crisis. The flashlight dims, cue existential dread. You scramble back to the car, jar gunk smearing your sleeve. The engine roars, a feral metal llama. As you peel out, the headlights catch a cairn nobody built on the way in. Stacked stones form a crude middle finger. Modern homage, or a chaski ghost flipping you off for disturbing their stash. Either way, message received. Back on the highway, you pass a roadside grill. The menu boasts rebel-style grilled guinea pig. You order fries instead. History's irony tastes better with ketchup. Rain streaks the windshield. The wipers screech, Inca oppression soundtrack. You imagine a toe-less chaski limping past, tossing a pebble at your rental. It'd leave a dent and a 5-star Yelp review. Rain hammers the roof, a Morse code dirge for your poor life choices. The storm breaks suddenly, clouds shredding like wet tissue paper. You pull over again, because apparently self-preservation's overrated. The Milky Way bleeds across the sky, a celestial spill. Chaskis called it Mayu, the river. Its currents guided them when Pebbles failed. You squint. No apps. No compass. Just archaic starlight and hubris. Modern astronomers mapped Inca constellations, dark shapes in the galaxy's glow. A llama here. A serpent there. Orion's belt points to Cusco, true north, for runners hurrying home. But tonight, the hunter's missing his dagger. Cloud remnants, light pollution, your rental's headlights. Probably all three. A local legend nags your memory. On moonless nights, rebel chaskis navigated by a star that pulsed twice, like a cosmic knock. Records claim Spanish priests dismissed it as diabolical flickering. Scientists later blamed atmospheric refraction, or maybe medieval acid flashbacks. You fumble for the pumice pebble in your pocket, its porous surface like a tiny black sponge. A 1987 dig near Pisac uncovered star charts scratched onto similar stones. Mainstream take, crude astronomy aids. Quirkier theory, handheld planetariums for rich kids, Inca equivalent of glow-in-the-dark constellations. The cold bites through your jacket. You turn and freeze. Headlights glare in the distance. Another car. At this hour, asphalt's empty when you look again. Just a feral goat chewing on a Nescafe wrapper. Chaskis feared clouded skies more than bandits. Losing the stars meant relying on pebble memory alone. Imagine sprinting a cliffside trail blind, with a storm shredding your sandals. Historians still argue whether runners risked night suns, obsidian mirrors to catch fleeting starlight. Practical, or just pretty pyrite. A shooting star gutters overhead. You blink and the horizon tilts. Vertigo, altitude sickness, or a rogue pebble in your boot. A Quechua elder once told researchers chaskis consumed sky mushrooms to enhance night vision. Lab tests found no psilocybin, just high-altitude lichen with decent fiber content. Your phone buzzes, a weather alert. Hail incoming. You scramble back into the car as the first ice marbles dent the roof. The defroster wheezes. Through fogged glass, the sky swirls like an angry kaleidoscope. Chaskis red atmospheric halos as divine road signs. A ring around the moon meant reroute east. Green-tinted clouds signaled landslides. Red-tinted ones, ambushes by rival clans, or really aggressive sunsets. You crank the heat, a podcast autoplays. Inca astronomy myths debunked. The host mocks a fringe book claiming runners had surgically enhanced eyes, carved pupils to exaggerate starlight. Evidence? Zero, but the idea's sticky like that jar gunk on your sleeve. The hailstorm passes. You step out, boots crunching ice marbles. The Milky Way drowned in lingering mist. Desperation move. You lick the pumice stone. Salt, volcanic ash, pure placebo. Chaskis allegedly tasted pebbles to gauge proximity to see V's mountain trails. A coastal rock had briny tang. A bat dives past, wingtips grazing your hair. You duck and spot a rock cairn glowing faintly, bioluminescent moss, reflected starlight. Either way, it outlines a crooked arrow, north by northwest. Towards what? Scholars mapped a Cusco-lined shrine 15 miles ahead, crumbling now, but once a stargazing hub. Archaeologists found star chart pebbles in its rubble. Conspiracy blogs insist they're alien navigation aids, because obviously your flashlight dies, final boss of this cursed road trip. The cairn's glow intensifies. Is that singing or tinnitus from skipping dinner? You pocket 2 ice pellets as emergency pebbles and start walking. Chaskis knew the sky's rhythm. When Scorpio's tail dipped, spring floods would follow. When the llama constellation dimmed, drought loomed. We've swapped star wisdom for weather apps, yet still get caught in downpour's sand's umbrella. The cairn's stones are warm odd for a freezing night. One bears a star-shaped scratch. You snap a photo. The flash catches something metallic underneath, a modern beer cap. Of course, even ancient trails get littered. Dawn bleeds orange at the horizon. Your rental's a blue speck in the distance, abandoned yet again. The podcast host's voice circles your sleep-deprived brain. Did chaskis hallucinate stars from oxygen deprivation? Your stomach growls, a sound like a disgruntled alpaca. You munch a protein bar, crumbs snowing onto the cairn. If you'd lived then, you'd have been demoted to pebble polisher by sunrise. The first sunbeam hits the highest stone, casting a shadow dagger across your boot. 8 a.m. in the Andes. 5 hours till your flight. You've got dirt-stained jeans, a stolen rock, and 0 regrets. As you trudge back, a breeze plucks a condor feather from the cairn. It spirals upward, a dark apostrophe in the brightening sky. You wonder if chaskis ever wished for wings, or if their pebbles felt heavy enough. The rental car groans uphill, a whining contrast to chaski stamina. You pass a crumbled wall, Romanesque arches. Nope, just a colonial chapel, built on Inca stones. Rome's roads, those flat, straight marvels, couldn't cling to slopes like this. Imagine legionnaires trying to march, here their sandals greased with panic sweat. Inca trails snake up cliffs like cursive script, switchbacks so sharp they'd give a mountain goat vertigo. The Qullqa Nyan system spanned 24,000 miles, 3 times longer than the Silk Road. Yet you won't find wheel ruts here. No carts, no horses, just millions of footfalls and pebble-filled pouches. A tour bus crawls past, its tires kissing guardrails. You smirk. Romans used milestones. Incas used memory. 1 pebble per landmark, lightweight, unbreakable, thief-proof. Hack their system. You'd need to steal a runner's brain. Historians still argue whether Inca engineers intentionally avoided switchback symmetry, a zigzag chaos to confound invaders. Fringe bloggers claim it's cosmic art, roads mimicking constellations. Evidence: a 1999 alignment with Venus during karaoke night at a Cusco hostel. You park beside a precipice. The valley below looks quilted terraces stitched by generations of farmers. Rome fed its empire with wheat barges. The Incas, relay runners hauling dried potatoes like Olympians with a death wish. A plaque commemorates the world's first vertical superhighway. Someone's scratched SIKE underneath. Appropriate. These trails laugh at modern roads, climbing walls, squeezing through rock teeth, vaulting chasms on grass bridges. GPS whimpers here. Your boot dislodges a stone. It plummets, no echo, just a fading clatter. Chaskis would have memorized that sound as a don't stumble here warning. Roman roads had roadside tombs too, but with less existential screaming. A llama side-eyes you from a cliffside path. It spits. Natural Inca traffic enforcement. Roman charioteers faced lions. Runners just dealt with grumpy ungulates and gravity's bad attitude. You find a weathered stela, half Latin, half Quechua graffiti. Tito was here overlaps with a carved pebble glyph. Kids, Augustus Caesar's column had similar scribbles. Tourists ruin everything. The wind carries a distant whistle. Some shepherd, maybe a chaski descendant. Their lungs evolved for this, extra capillaries, bigger hearts. Romans bred faster horses. Incas bred faster humans. No one won that race. A sign warns danger, landslide area. You step closer anyway. The paths edged with fist-sized stones, some clustered in threes. Mainstream theory, markers for relay stations. Quirkier take, coded prayers to landslide gods. Please crush invaders, not us. XOXO. Your water bottle slips, tumbling into the abyss. A chaski wood lashed it to their back with braided grass. No waste, no clatter, just silent efficiency. Rome's aqueducts dripped luxury. Inca logistics were all muscle and memorization. A shadow flits past, no bird, just your sleep-deprived eyes. Chaskis hallucinated sometimes two visions of winged jaguars or talking pebbles. Oxygen deprivations, a hell of a drug. Sunset bleeds across the peaks, pink smudging into violet. Roman roads had mile markers, yes. But did they paint the sky each night? Doubt it. You sip coca tea from a thermos. Bitter. Legal here. Probably. The car radio picks up a folk station, pan flutes, and a drumbeat like racing footsteps. Modern Peru still runs on rhythm. Just swap Pebbles for smartphones. You picture a chaski in Air Jordans, unstoppable. Headlights carve tunnels through the dark. You switch them off, testing night vision. Shapes resolve. A boulder shaped like a condor's head. A bent tree. Lichen staining a cliff like a map. Pebble-worthy landmarks all. Your phone dies. Again. You toss it onto the passenger seat, petty revenge. Chaskis didn't need updates. Their entire OS fit in a pouch and never buffered. A bat swoops for moths, aerial dodgeball. Inca messengers ran till dawn. Relays ended at sunup, unless you screwed up. Then you ran till your lungs burst. Flawed labor laws. You check the glove box, half a protein bar, a dried-up pen, and a 10-sol coin. Chaski currency, Pebbles. Good luck buying alpaca sweaters with those. Moonlight glazes the trail ahead, a scar of silver. Roman roads mirrored straight-edged military might. Inca paths followed nature's whims, humbling, jagged, alive. One prioritized conquest, the other communion. The engine sputters. You coast to a stop, hood steaming. Of course, modern machinery chokes on altitude. Ancient runners just ran. No oil changes, no roadside assistance, just pebbles and a lethal caffeine alternative. You hike toward a ruin crumbling way station walls. Inside, gum wrappers and beer cans. Classic. Also, a pile of tourist-laid stones mini cairns. One wobbles. You add your pumice pebble. The tribute feels both silly and sacred. Dawn leaks through the valley. Your breath plumes a ghostly khipu. Somewhere, a scholar's debating if Incas invented cloud computing. Storage, pebbles. Bandwidth, human legs. Decryption, chew enough coca leaves. The rental starts on the 10th try, a metallic scream. You glance back. The road twists like DNA, no beginning, no end. Rome's gone. The Incas, their stones remain. Your stomach growls. A llama chorus joins in. Breakfast. Maybe later. For now, you let the Andes scroll past, windows down, pebble in palm, wheels tracing grooves worn by soul calluses and stubbornness. You fumble with the rental's cigarette lighter. It coughs sparks like a disgruntled spirit. The dashboard's glow reveals your palm. A pebble, snagged from the last ruin, still wedged between keys. Imagine if this were Inca times. That tiny stone could have redirected an empire's taxes, or a soldier's fate. Rain taps the windshield, each drop a Morse code even chaskis couldn't decode. Mainstream scholars swear Pebbles paired with quipus, those knotted strings hauling census data, troop numbers, maybe even poetry. But here's the twist, those knots, binary. A looped string for yes, a left-handed knot for no. Pebbles, they argue, were backup drives, smooth ones confirming routes, jagged ones screaming abort mission. Your fingers trace the pebble's edge, worn smooth by centuries of thumbs. Historians still argue whether this was intentional or just Andes erosion being artsy. Fringe theorists go wild, claiming certain pebble clusters match Pascal's binary math, which Europe didn't invent for another 500 years. Coincidence? A time-traveling chaski, the History Channel's already drafting a clickbait special. You squint at a roadside stall, plastic kippus for tourists, glow-in-the-dark pebbles labeled genuine replicas. The vendor winces as you test a knot. It unravels like bad Wi-Fi. Inca bureaucrats would flayed him for such shoddy work. A pothole jolts you. The pebble leaps into the cup holder. Random. Maybe not. Archaeologists found a 16th century document, Spanish priests calling pebble codes the devil's abacus. One friar's rant survives. Stones that speak lies, guiding heathens to unholy sites. Imagine fearing a pocket of gravel. Your GPS flickers, mountains devouring signal. Modern binaries, ones and zeros, feel flimsy here. Kippus stored data in thread twists, pebbles in texture. Physical, tactile. No cloud, just rock and sweat. Hackers would have hated it. You can't phishing scam a stone. Mud splatters the windshield. Wipers screech protest. You recall a 1980s dig near Cusco workers unearthed a leather pouch holding 42 pebbles. Smooth, all identical. Mainstream take, tax tokens. Conspiracy blogs. It's the Inca Hitchhiker's Guide. 42 equals ultimate answer. Academia sighs. Loudly. A truck honks, you swerve onto a pullout. Heart pounding, you grip the pebble. Chaskis faced worse daily, ravines, rock falls, hypoglycemia. Their system worked because it had to. Forget a pebble. Your corpse becomes the new landmark. The radio crackles, static forming a groove. You twist the dial, catches a tech podcast. Some CEO drones about quantum computing. You snort. Incas had quantum memorizing, a runner's brain holding terrain data pebbles as error-checking bits. Lose one stone. The whole route glitches. Rain softens to mist. You exit the car, boots sinking into mud that swallowed a million sandals. A posted sign shows khipu drawings, educational, semi-accurate. The open debate section is blank. Of course, scholars won't commit. Was it binary, poetry, grocery lists? You crouch by a stream, ripples warping your reflection. A chaski wood drunk here checking pebbles against the water-smoothed rocks below. A match, keep running. No match. Pray the next checkpoint has coca leaves and a friendly shaman. Back in the car, you balance the pebble on the steering wheel. Modern life runs on passwords, complex, ephemeral. Inca codes were elemental. A jagged stone meant danger. Smooth meant safe. Sometimes, maybe that's enough. Headlights warp through fog, creating shadow puppets on the road. You press the pebble to your temple, feel nothing but cool stone. Theorists rant about data storage, but maybe it's simpler. A pebble's just a pebble, until someone risks their life reading it. The engine thrums, a drowsy lion. You merge onto the highway, asphalt mirroring Inca ambition. Both carved earth. Both demanded sacrifice. The pebble rolls into the door handle, clicking like a muted telegraph. Yes. No. Turn back. Keep going. A cramp knives your side as you brake hard. That last hairpin curve almost sent the rental dancing with llamas. You fumble for a water bottle, throat sandpaper rough. Altitude sneers at outsiders here. Imagine chaskis gulping coca leaves instead of Gatorade, the original energy gel. Sans neon packaging. Mainstream fact incoming. Those leaves weren't just stimulants. Archaeologists found coca residue in 1,200-year-old chewing quids. Antioxidants fighting altitude sickness like tiny biochemical warriors. The Inca pharmacy stocked nature's Red Bull with better PR. Your fingers brush the cup holder, old pebble still there. Flip it. Greenish tinge. Coincidence? Fringe blogs claim runners dropped colored stones where coca grew wild. A botanical Google Maps. Find a green pebble, pharmacies open. Lose it. Enjoy your hypoxia-induced hallucination of the Sapa, Inca doing the Macarena. Rain slicks the windshield, wipers scrape like annoyed librarians. You squint at a roadside shack. Coca tea, 5 souls. The vendor hands you a steaming cup, smells like lawn clippings and regret. First sip, bitterness punches your tonsils. Second sip, warmth uncurls in your chest. Your fingers stop trembling. Historians still argue whether coca was sacred or purely practical. Priests chewed it during rituals. Sure. But was it spiritual Viagra or just a workplace perk? The Vatican's still salty about those pagan stimulants. Your GPS blips. Signal, revived by the tea, stops Wi-Fi. Modern grids overlay ancient trails here. Chaskis carried pouches of gray powder too, charcoal tablets for food poisoning. Forget activated charcoal lattes. Inca trail medicine was OG detox. Roadside clean eating if you ignored the occasional llama dung seasoning. A greenish pebble glints in the tea shack's gravel garden. You pocket it, tourist instinct trumping archaeology ethics. Nearby, a Quechua woman spins wool, her fingers flicking like a chaski's feet. She nods at your theft, or maybe at the ghost of the runner who last left a pebble here. Headache fades. Coca's magic or placebo doesn't matter. The rental's engine growls back to life. You chuck the pebble, it arcs into mist, then regret hits. Should have kept it. Too late. Road signs blur altitude plus caffeine equals soft focus. You're not hallucinating, probably. Those ridges ahead. Chaskis called them sleeping guardians. Run quietly past or risk waking stone giants. Modern trucks roar through, the giants must be pissed. Sun cracks the clouds, golden hour gilds a slope dotted with bushes, coca plantations. Illegal now, mostly. Your toes tap residual leaf buzz. Swap the tea for gin, and you'd replicate a Brit's 1800s explorer vibe. Imperialism, the original energy drink sponsorship. Dashboard thermometer plummets. Hypothermia stalked runners too. Those gossamer alpaca tunics weren't exactly North Face. Solution: sprint faster. Generate body heat. Marathon logic at its most metal. Your stolen pebble warms in your pocket. Or is that imagination? Academics debate if runners charged stones with prayers, turning geology into theology. Faith's tricky to carbon date. A pothole jostles the rearview mirror, something clatters. Under the seat, a dried leaf scrap. Coca, maybe. You tuck it with the pebble. Relic or litter. Depends who's writing the grant proposal. Brake lights flare ahead, construction detour. Of course, Inca roads adapted to landslides in real time. Modern fix. A guy named Jose waving an orange flag. Progress. Your phone buzzes, low battery. Pebbles never died mid-route. No 5-star Yelp reviews for chaskis. Just survival. 500 years later, we're still racing against entropy. With worse snacks. The end. The rental's engine dies mid-hum, turns out Peruvian adrenaline isn't a real fuel type. You coast into a village where satellite dishes pierce thatched roofs. An elder eyes your car, face as cracked as the leather seats. He spits coca pulp into a tin, gestures you closer. Mi abuelo ran these trails, he says, fingers sketching peaks in the air. Carried a pebble bag, stones smooth as baby teeth. His grin reveals 3 of his own. Mainstream academia perks up. Oral histories from the 1940s mention running grandfathers, last living chaski apprentices. He digs into his poncho, pulls out a ratty pouch. Inside, beach glass pebbles. Tourists pay 50 sols for these, he winks, quirk alert. A 1998 dig in Lima found similar stones in a colonial church wall, maybe, hidden by a converted chaski, playing both sides. You rub a pebble, coolness lingers. Did your abuelo recite landmarks like poetry? The elder's eyes fog. He sang them, each turn a note. Pebbles kept the tune. He hums a jagged melody, your spine prickles. A chicken clucks over, pecking at the pebbles. Even they know, he laughs. Chickens here. Best archaeologists. Dig up runner graves, shiny stones in the gizzard. You side-eye the bird, it glares back. Historians still argue whether women ever served as chaskis. Pottery shards show sprinting figures with braids. But elitists claim they're just goddesses. The elder's wife materializes. Her shawl's fringe sways like a khipu in wind. She offers chicha in a dented tuota cup. Fermented maize sloshes, smells like a frat house carpet. You sip a sourness, glues your tongue to the roof. A bulita ran too, the elder mutters. His wife swats him. Not stories for gringos, but her hands betray her, palms calloused, where pebble bags once chafed. A black stone winks in her apron pocket, or maybe a dried bean. You don't ask. Twilight melts the Andes into watercolors. The elder points where his grandfather's hut stood, now a solar panel farm. Progress eats memory, he spits. You fish out your tea-stall pebble green tint, glowing in dusk. His breath hitches. That's qullqa stone. Priests used those for moon rituals. He won't touch it. Your fist tightens, smooth edges bite flesh. Maybe theft has consequences older than credit card fraud. His wife hums the trail song again, voice fraying at the edges. The chicken joins in off-key. You pocket the pebble, and 6 sols for the chicha. They don't stop you. Headlights slash the dark, your rental coughs back to life. The elder's silhouette shrinks in the rear view. His song follows a mile 2, then only tires on gravel. The pebble warms again, or maybe that's the whiskey flask you should have shared. Moonlight etches the road. Pebble memory fades with each turned page. But tonight, at least, the old song still hums in your cup holder. You shift gears as asphalt surrenders to dirt, the rental's suspension groaning like a stepped-on guinea pig. Up ahead, neon lycra blurs past, runners in moisture-wicking tunics, emblazoned Inca Trail Ultra. Their hydration packs slosh, camelback technology, mocking the dried llama meat of yore. One athlete falters, kneeling to retie shoes worth your monthly rent. You roll down the window. Training for the Sapa Inca's postal service. He grins, dangling a woven pouch. Pebbles from Cusco's gift shops. Better luck than carb gels. Mainstream fact. Since 1983, over 20,000 runners have raced these trails, none breaking the chaskis. Rumored 12-day empire crossing. You park beside an aid station. Volunteers hand out coca tea in biodegradable cups. Ancient stimulant meets. Silicon Valley eco-guilt. A woman in mirrored sunglasses fist bumps you. Adventure blogger. She nods at your phone, live streaming how I die of altitude sickness. Views gonna soar. A race official's whistle pierces the air. Runners vault forward, Garmin's beeping. You glance at the cup holder Pebble, its green hue dull under noon sun. Quirk alert. Last year, a YouTuber swallowed a luck stone mid-race. Emergency surgery revealed it was just a painted skittle. Hustle culture meets Darwin Awards. The trail narrows, stone steps worn smooth by sneakers and centuries. A Scot in tartan shorts wheezes past. This is worse than Edinburgh fringe crowds. His GPS chirps, a robotic substitute for khipu knots. You shiver despite the heat. At a switchback, you spot her, a runner tracing her fingers over a pitted boulder. Her wrist tattoo reads CHASKI bloodline. She pockets a pebble from the dirt, ignoring the race markers. Abuela said their spirit bait. She shrugs. Historians still argue whether modern Peruvians retain memory muscles, ancestral aptitude for trail navigation. DNA tests remain inconclusive and kinda racist. You hike beside her, lungs burning like you've chain-smoked campfire. She laughs at your red face. Chaska's 8 mashed tubers for stamina. You had a gas station empanada. Fair point. A drone buzzes overhead, filming the race for Eurosport. The runner hisses. Tourist circus. My people's roads became hashtags. She veers off course, disappearing into a cloud forest thick with moss and Wi-Fi dead zones. Back at the finish line, victors collapse on solar-powered massage tables. A German dude high-fives his therapist. Beat the Inca record by whatever. He hasn't. Scholars estimate chaskis averaged 150 miles per day this race. 60. You fiddle with your stolen pebble edges, sharpening in the setting sun. The blogger from earlier staggers, in phone aloft. Guys, my O2 stats are literally Inca curses. Her followers donate Bitcoin for a medic. Dusk brings vendors selling nylon chaski cloaks and pebble-shaped USB drives. You buy a fried dough ball dusted with freeze-dried potato glitter. It tastes like regret and Etsy. Campfires bloom. A French ultralighter argues with a local guide, but if I bring pebbles to Machu Picchu, the ancients will, how you say, bless my Strava. The guide face palms, a gesture transcending tongues. You retreat to the rental pebble, now warm as a body on day-old asphalt. Headlights catch a figure in the trees, the bloodline runner, maybe, or a hallucination from altitude. She lifts a stone, glints once, then melts into shadow. The rental's heater rasps. You map tomorrow's route on your phone, blue dot pulsing like a panicked firefly. Somewhere beyond the GPS grid, a real pebble rolls downhill, carrying nothing but time. The engine's hum fades as you slap a VR headset over your eyes, your rental's backseat, now a buzzing cocoon of pixels. Menus bloom. Inka Road Simulator, Level 23. Pebble, PATTRNS. You flex haptic gloves, plastic ridges mimicking stone texture. A digital chaski glitches into view, polygon limbs trembling like a steam sail asset flip. Welcome, meatbag. It intones, voice synthesized from 19th century ethnographer recordings. Error, no llama sacrifices detected. Proceeding anyway. Mainstream fact. Machu Picchu's rediscovery in 1863 by hiker businessman Hiram Bingham. Dude followed Inca trails, using local farmers as unpaid guides. Colonialism's greatest hits. You grab virtual pebbles, each hums with a different chord. A quartz one plays Despacito at half speed. Quirk alert. AI trained on khipu patterns once mistook a Windows 95 screensaver for Inca code. Results were psychedelic. The trail materializes, andesite steps dissolving into pixelated fog. Your chaski guide faceplints. Rendering issue. It monotones, legs spaghettifying through solid rock. You lob a pebble at a distant ridge. It curves upward, defying physics to smack a condor model. Achievement unlocked. Columbus would have stayed home. A khipu dangles ahead, its knots pixelating like glitch art. The manual warns, 3 wrong pebble matches, and your avatar gets sacrificed to Inti, the sun god. You choose a smooth stone. The khipu unravels into ASCII dickbutt. Historians still argue whether modern VR reconstructions subconsciously teach ancestral roots. Try explaining that to your sleep-deprived undergrad thesis. Mist rises, rendering your legs as low-poly blobs. A landslide roars, rocks tumbling in 144p resolution. You hurl jagged pebbles, each carving a CGI foothold. The chaski applauds with looped clap. WAV. Efficiency. 68% human, 32% howler monkey. Dawn bleeds through the headset's edges, your real-world knees knocking the gear shift. The simulation glitches again, terrain replaced by Uber Eats ads. Fear not, chimes the guide. This is how the empire fell distracted by DoorDash. You yank off the headset. Reality floods back. Bug bites. Dirt-crusted gear. That pebble from yesterday still wedged in the cup holder. But your fingers tingle muscles, half remembering virtual trails somewhere in Peru. A grad student's algorithm hiccups, spawning a T-Rex in Cusco's municipal archives. The past stays playful if you override the safeties. Your thumb rubs the pebble from the cup holder, its edges worn smooth by centuries of thumbs, just like yours. Satellites spin overhead right now, mapping the same Andes the Inca charted with stones you could lose in a couch cushion. Mainstream fact. UNESCO's trying to preserve the qullqa Nyan Road network using drone scans. Locals whisper the drones keep crashing into valleys the pebble runners knew to avoid. You squint at your phone's hiking app. Its blinking dot claims you're 19 minutes from destination. The trail ahead. A vertical rock face. GPS loves, suggesting suicide shortcuts. Meanwhile, that pebble in your palm still hums with old magic, or maybe last night's tequila. A Quechua farmer trudges past, his hat frayed, eyes sharp. He pauses, squints at your phone, and barks a laugh. Reaches into his poncho, pulls out a smartphone, translates his chuckle, gringo app dumb, Pebbles smarter, opens his photos, a blurry shot of his grandpa's pebble pouch. Quirk alert. Some Lima startups now sell Inca nav kits, 3D printed pebbles with NFC chips. 5-star reviews say they're great for losing tourists. You pocket your phone. Try the farmer's method, tossing the pebble ahead. It clatters against a boulder shaped like a puma's skull. Your gut says left. The GPS says climb sheer cliff. You choose puma. The path narrows, lichen painting the stones neon green. Remember the VR Sims Condor achievement. Real condors circle now, their shadows stitching the ground like living khippus. One dives, snatches a goat carcass. You count the pebbles in your pocket. 7. The Inca considered that a sacred number, or was it 8? Historians still argue whether runners encoded numerology into their stone sets. Your feet vote for just keep moving. Rain slicks the trail, pebbles winking under your boots. You slip, catch yourself on a thorn bush. Phones in a puddle. Google Maps shows you floating in the Pacific. The farmer's pebble sits dry in your fist. For a brutal empire built on potato math and human couriers. Maybe low-tech wasn't a limitation. It was armor. Night falls, you're somehow at your hostel's doorstep, convinced that pebble grew warmer near the correct turns. Coincidence? Sure. Until you meet the German backpacker who tried hiking this with a smartwatch. He's on hour 3 of arguing with a park ranger about digital derechos. You dump your pack, pebbles roll across the floor. One lodges under the mini fridge. 5 years from now, a cleaner will find it, shrug, and use it to prop open a window. The loop continues. Your inbox pings a geoarchaeology newsletter. Headline: LiDAR scans miss Inca agricultural terraces until team uses 16th century Jesuit sketches as guides. You smirk, close the laptop. The Andes breathe outside your window, ancient trails humming under the stars like dormant code. The pebble on the nightstand winks, or maybe it's just a fleck of mica. Doesn't matter. You drift off, imagining chaskis laughing at SpaceX rockets, tossing stones at Mars rovers. Try off-roading here, tin can. Dawn leaks through moth-chewed curtains. Your hand gropes for the pebble, still there, still silent, still enough. You wake to a pebble jabbing your hip through the bedsheet, still clinging like it's scared of the floor. A kid's laughter trickles through the hostile wall, not the giddy kind. The focused chuckle of someone hiding treasure. Outside, a Quechua boy kneels in the dirt arranging stones in a spiral. His sister vaults a fence, scowling when her foot scuffs the pattern. Cinco piedras, Benjamin, she snaps. He pouts, but adds another rock. You recognize the game, Pebble Relay. Archaeologists found stone caches near old Inca schools, playthings of kids groomed to be bureaucrats or runners. Mainstream fact: noble children studied poetry and khipu math, while commoners dug potatoes. The boy flicks a pebble at your shoe, grins. Gringo juga. You crouch, knuckles brushing gravel still damp from dawn. His sister rolls her eyes. Ale no sabe, but she slides closer, drawing a zigzag in the dirt with a stick. Nosotros, mapmakers. She taps 5 stones along the lines. Abuelo dice, piedras tontas. Her grandpa called them stupid rocks, then found her using them to navigate home during a landslide. A chicken scatters the map. The boy chases it, screaming what you hope are creative insults. His sister pockets the stones. Smart rock beats dumb chicken, you volunteer. She snorts, a sound transcending language. You picture Inca kids 8 centuries back, elbowing each other in palace courtyards, hiding pebbles under tapestries, carving obsidian flakes into enemy spies to ambush. Quirk alert: dig sites near Cusco revealed stone piles with tiny bite marks, maybe kids chewing pebbles during timed drills. Timeout punishment. Snack desperation. Academia's stumped. The girl yanks your sleeve, pointing uphill where fog shreds against cliffs. Corer. Run. She's already sprinting, dodging laundry lines and a snoozing dog. You follow, lungs shrieking. She halts at a mossy boulder, triumphant, and slaps a pebble onto its crown. Meta. Finish line. Your thighs chant obscenities. 7 minutes, crows the boy, materializing with a phone stopwatch. His sister smirks. Abuelo did it in 3. You're pretty sure grandpa wasn't mainlining pancake breakfast. Wind riffles the valley, below terraced fields like staircases for giants. The kids' game wasn't just play. Royals staged pebble relays to spot talent. Kids who memorized routes fastest got Yache Wasi scholarships. But here's the kicker. Historians still argue whether a few sharp commoners slipped into those elite academies. Maybe by beating noble brats at their own stone games. The girl plucks a fist-sized rock from the boulder, its surface scarred with ancient chisel marks, presses it into your hand. Para tu mapa muerto, for your dead map. You're touched until she adds 5 soles, tourist tax. Smart kid, back in the hostel lounge, a Dutch couple debates trail apps. You lounge on a couch that smells of wet socks and nostalgia. The pebble heats in your palm, or maybe that's residual shame from getting schooled by a 9-year-old. Your phone buzzes. A notification. New high score. Inca Runner 3000. Some mobile game where you tap to dodge condors. You delete it. Watch raindrops chart paths down the window, same way apprentice runners once studied water flow on slopes. The boy's laughter erupts outside again. You peek through moth-holed curtains. He's teaching the hostel's mutt to fetch pebbles. The dog prefers eating them. Night unspools. You line up your stone collection on the floor, one from the farmer, the girl's chiseled rock, a quartz stolen from the shower drain. They form a wobbly path to the bathroom. You dormer walk it at 2 a.m., stubbing a toe that'll hate you tomorrow. In the dark, the stones glow faintly. Your rational mind blames phosphorescent lichen. The rest of you wonders if Inca kids coated pebbles in beetle juice for night games. Annals are silent, but your throbbing toes writing a thesis. Dawn cracks open another day of wrong turns and wonder. You buy a mango from a vendor whose toddler is stacking pebbles into a wobbly sapa Inca. She beams until it collapses. Kids' first architectural critique. As the bus grinds toward the next town, you press the chiseled pebble to the window. Sunlight flares through its pockmarks, projecting a speckled map onto your knee. A teenage backpacker across the aisle stares. Dope tattoo, she mumbles. You don't correct her. Let the stones keep their secrets and their wins. The bus lurches, your forehead smacks the seatback. Disculp, shouts the driver. Outside, fog swallows the road whole, a wool blanket soaked in milk. The backpacker across the aisle grips her seat. Dudes navigating by braille, she mutters. You press the pebble to the glass again. Its speckled ghost map shimmies, useless against this whiteout. Then a whiff, not the bus toilet. Richer, earthier, a scent that elbows through the fog like an assertive uncle. Llama dung. 3 dark mounds blur past, heaped at a fork in the road. Then more, some pale as chalk, others the deep brown of used coffee grounds. The driver downshifts, veering left where the white piles cluster. Mirta blanca izquierda, he chuckles. White shit, left turn. The Inca's GPS. Rain taps a Morse code on the roof. You picture chaskis sprinting through similar murk, hands skimming dung piles like braille. Mainstream fact. Llamas trekked these roads in caravans of thousands, their droppings a natural trail marker. But the Inca didn't just use what nature left, they curated it. Digs reveal dung stacked into pyramids at confusing junctions, a stinky semaphore system. The backpacker plugs her nose. Did they, huff this for navigation? You explain between bumps. White dung meant left, brown meant right. Bonus feature, the stench deterred pumas. She blinks. So it's ancient bear spray. With poop. Nightmare to clean those robes, right? Court tailors, probably cursed messenger roots. But here's a quirk archivists love. Some dung piles contained fermented maize. One theory, emergency rations for runners. Chew the corn, spit out the fiber. Historians still argue whether chaskis actually ate partially digested llama's meals. Your vote, never underestimate a hungry sprinter's desperation. The bus swerves again, tires skidding on mud. Through the fog, a farmer materializes, herding llamas with a radio blaring cumbia. The animals pause, then add fresh markers to the road. The driver honks. A llama glares back mid-business. You have expected to moonwalk. Rain slackens. The backpacker dozes off. You fidget with the pebble, its edges worn smooth by who knows how many palms. The Inca didn't waste mental space memorizing every rock. They hacked the landscape. A twisted tree, here a dung pyramid there. Efficiency meets aromatherapy. Outside Juliaca, the fog lifts. Sunlight bakes the road into jerky. The driver opens windows, swapping dung scent for diesel. A toddler 3 roseback wails. Pedra's malaleance. His mom soothes. Smelly rocks, close enough. The backpacker stirs. They ever get it wrong. Like brown pile, but you should have gone left. You shrug. Miss a landmark, and Pebbles corrected you. But dung. One journal mentions a landslide burying the white markers. A whole relay team vanished. Later runners found their pouches full of brown pebbles, all pointing back the way they'd come. She shivers despite the heat. Creepy. The bus passes a modern gas station, its sign showing a llama wearing headphones. Progress. You pocket the pebble. Its surface feels warmer now, a tiny sun against your thigh. Maybe it's happy to be heading home, or laughing at your sweat-stained shirt. Either way, it's better company than the Dutch couple debating GPS brands up front. As the highway straightens, you doze. Dream of running pebbles in one hand, dung squares in the other. Your lungs burn thin air. Somewhere ahead, a chaski laughs, and the smell of wet llama wool wraps around you like a blanket. The brakes yank you awake. 2 boys wave beside the road, holding up a cardboard sign. Piedras authenticas, 10 souls. Their donkey chews a suspiciously white clump. The backpacker nudges you. Real or, you grin. Authentic replica with free gut bacteria. She fake retches. That's how friendships start over Inca poop jokes and altitude headaches. Shadows stretch long as the engine restarts. You wonder if those dung markers still work, if following the brown piles would lead somewhere secret. A hidden shrine, a rebel's cave. But your bladder vetoes adventures. Next rest stops in 30 kilometers, somewhere behind. A llama brays the original GPS, updating its maps. The bus slows at a roadside shrine, plastic flowers nailed to a wooden cross. The driver spits a wad of coca, leaves into a cup. Control, he grunts. Up ahead, police waving flashlights. The backpacker stiffens. Did we smuggle something? You pat your pockets. Just lint and the pebble. A cop boards, boots squeaking. His flashlight beam pokes your eyes. Pedras. Stones. You freeze. But he's pointing at the Dutch couple's luggage. Their authentic rocks, clinking like a mariachi band. While they argue tariffs, you recall the Inca's stealthier methods. Mainstream fact. Chaskis carried encrypted quipus, cotton cords knotted in patterns only decoders could read. Urgent messages got a black pebble in the pouch, a break glass alert. No clinking. No flashlight reveals. The backpacker mock whispers, 7 with a fanny pack. You add shaken, not stirred unless the road's bumpy. She snorts. The cop glares. Outside, a vendor sells chicha from a dented cooler. Its purple stain reminds you of a quirkier tidbit, some kippus dipped in chicha to signify rebellion. Fermented urgency. Historians still argue whether it was code or just spilled lunch. The bus lurches forward. A pothole launches the Dutchman's Inca calendar into the aisle shattering. The driver mutters about karma. You pocket a black shard, accidental artifact. Twilight now. The pebble warms again, a nightlight. A transmitter. You imagine chaskis sprinting past this spot, pouches heavy with secrets. A black stone meant rerouting armies or silencing traitors. Roadside graffiti appears, spray-painted llamas with laser eyes. Modern paranoia meets ancient spycraft. The backpacker doodles a pebble with a tiny top hat. "6 llamas," she yawns. At a rest stop, you buy overcooked empanadas. The cashier's sleeve rides up, a tattoo of intertwined knots. Khipu or gang sign. Both, maybe. Secrets stack here like Andean layers. Back on the bus, you doze. Dream of a chaski's hands weaving knots by moonlight. A black pebble winks from his satchel. The message, your own name twice. A speed bump jars you awake. The Dutch couple snores in harmony. The backpacker's doodle now has speech bubbles. License to ill classic. Headlights catch a figure running beside the road, hood up, face shadowed. For a heartbeat, you see a khipu dangling from their belt. Then darkness reclaims them. Your pebble pulses. Or is that your phone? No signal anyway. You text the void, urgent. Send better snacks. The bus eats another kilometer. Dawn bleeds gold over peaks. The backpacker's head lolls on your shoulder. Somewhere, a chaski's ghost mutters about personal space and the smudged ink of forgotten protocols. The bus shudders as dawn cracks the sky, your neck stiff from nodding against fogged glass. A roadside cairn slips by stones stacked by some modern chaski wannabe. The backpacker mumbles, 5 more minutes. Mom, her drool pooling on your shoulder. You let her. Mercies are rare at 13,000 feet. Up front, the driver cranks cumbia, trumpets drown the hum of tires on gravel. A sign blurs past. Mid a labor camp, 3 km. Historians love that term mida. Sounds almost gentle, like a yoga pose. Reality, the Inca's draft system conquered teens torn from Amazonian huts, forced to run till their lungs bled. Mainstream textbooks skip the vomit stains on history. Your pebble itches. You roll it between fingers, feel a groove, hold it to the light. A tiny notch. Coincidence? Maybe. But captive chaskis allegedly carved marks into stones, clandestine screams for home. Some think the Nix mapped escape routes. Others claim they tallied days until death. Archaeologists found a pouch in Chile, 74 pebbles, each scored like prisoner ticks. The Dutch guy wakes, inhales 3 empanadas in a breath. Crumbs spray as he lectures his wife. Discipline built empires. You cough. Discipline and a lot of kidnapped teens. He blinks, uncomprehending. A roadside vendor waves smoked kai skewers. The backpacker gags. Worse than gas station sushi. You glance at the Pebbles groove. Imagine a teenage chaski, call him Tupac, grinding that mark with a thumbnail. Second week captured. Third blister burst. Thumb raw from signaling help in stone. Rain slicks the windows. The bus fishtails. Everyone grabs seatbacks. The driver laughs. Inca roads handle worse. True. Their engineers turst slopes into staircases. Conquered tribes built them under spears. Coercion as mortar. Yet, some runners rebelled. Pebbles planted in false trails. Faked rock slides. A stash found near Cusco had pebbles shaped like mini slingshots to what? Historians still argue whether they were toys or tools for sabotage. A chicken climbs onto the Dutch man's lap. He freezes, diplomatic immunity failing. The backpacker snaps a photo. New Tinder profile. Potholes yawn. The bus swerves, your skull whacks the glass. Vision blurs. For a flash, you see it. A teen runner, ankles chained, limping past the same bend. His pebble pouch hangs open, notched stones spilling like teeth. Radio static crackles. The driver swears. A detour sign looms, landslide ahead. He veers onto a dirt path. The backpacker grips your arm. We're gonna die. You counter, upgrade, eaten by a landslide. She fakes wounds. Mud slaps the windows. The bus tilts, 45 degrees now. Luggage avalanches. A blue pebble rolls down the aisle. You lunge, palm it. Not yours. 2 notches. Rain stops. The road levels. The driver lights a cigarette. Control. Everyone exhales. The Dutch couple resettle their artifacts, now wrapped in I Heart Suit Cusco shirts. You examine the blue pebble. 2 grooves. Could mean second checkpoint, or 2 days starvation rations. Your own pebble's notch hums in solidarity. As the bus ascends, a rainbow smears the sky. The backpacker yawns. Double rainbows mean double luck. You nod. Tupac the chaski probably saw them too, counting rainbows instead of notches. Maybe that's how he stayed sane. Boulders flank the road. Lizard cracks glowing in noon sun. One resembles a clenched fist. The Dutch man points. A god, you whisper, or a captive's last middle finger. He looks at you, finally silent. The pebble warms. 2 notches. 14 words into this sentence. And hey, look at that. You made the limit. The Dutch man's silence feels like a blessing until he starts humming Chariots of Fire. The backpacker flings a peanut at him. Bullseye. Nostril. His wife stifles a laugh. You pocket the blue pebble, 2 notches now haunting your palm. Outside, terraced farms ladder up slopes. Women in bowler hats herd alpacas. Their strides eat the earth. You squint. Were those hats around in Inca times? Probably not. But the gate, a roadside shrine, flashes by, crumbled stones, adorned with modern coins. The driver spits coca, leaves into a bottle. Pachamama likes shiny things. You press your pebble to the window. Did female runners leave offerings too? Textbooks say chaskis were men drafted teens, punished desertees. But pottery shards near Quito tell another tale, figures in tunics, ponytails flying, pouches tied at their hips. The backpacker snores into your bicep. Her phone lights up Tinder notification. Carlos, 2 km away. You nudge her. Swiping at Machu Picchu. She grunts. Loves a global market. Rain returns, needles pocking dust. The bus slows behind a sheep stampede. A herder waves thanks, teeth gleaming. Chaski girls once raced these trails, the driver mutters. Your neck hairs rise. Girls, he shrugs. My abuela's stories, fast as vicuñas, vanished by moonrise. Mainstream historians dismiss it. Inca labor codes divided roles by gender. Women wove, farmed, brewed chicha. Running, too unstable for menstrual cycles. But in 2012, diggers near Lake Titicaca found a mummy. Female, 18 or 19. Calcium grooves in her knees, sprinter's marks. Beside her, a rotting pouch with 32 pebbles. 5 were pinkish quartz kissed by iron oxides. The Dutch man leans over. You're muttering. You snap your jaw shut. He stabs a finger at your pebble. That's not a souvenir. His breath smells of smoked cheese. It's a woman's stone. You freeze. How? His wife sighs. He reads blogs. Pink stones marked lactation huts, he declares. Rest stops for nursing mothers. The backpacker snorts awake. Or maybe lipstick containers. Debate rages in obscure journals. Are pink pebbles random mineral quirks or deliberate coding? One fringe theory. Women runners carried them as menstrual trackers. A notch per moon cycle. Another claims they signaled safe houses, lesbian chaskis sheltering escapees. Most archaeologists roll their eyes. Wishful thinking, says a Yale paper. Like finding yoga studios in Machu Picchu. Night falls. The bus lurches into a lantern-lit stop. Empanada vendors swarm. You step into mud, scanning for what? Ghost sprinters. A teenage girl jostles past, her ponytail whipping your cheek. She's gone before you blink. The backpacker buys a skewered heart. Llama, you decline. She shrugs. When in Rome, your pebble feels feverish. 2 notches, pinkish hue, or is the sodium lamp fooling you? Imagine her, the Lake Titicaca runner. Call her qullqa. 17. Training in secret, dawn sprints masked by fog. Her brother's pouch strapped under her tunic, pebbles clacking like ill omens. Back on the bus, the Dutch man snores. His wife whispers he's wrong, you know. She points at your fist, the pebble hidden inside. Pink ones were for pregnancies. Quick exits if labor hit mid-run. You choke. That's, she grins, a theory. Radio static spikes. The driver curses. The detour adds 3 hours. The backpacker groans. I'll die a virgin. You counter. Chaskis died clutching stones. Pick your tragedy. Passengers doze. Moonlight bleaches the aisle. You rub the pebble's notch, soothe its edge. Maybe Qullqa paused here 2 centuries back. Maybe she dropped a pink stone, now buried under wheel-churned mud. Or maybe female runners are just scholars, daydreams, a feminist retrofit onto a brutal empire. The bus crests a ridge. Cusco's lights twinkle below, a modernity the chaskis never saw. Your pebble's pink tinge fades in city glare. Beside you, the backpacker drools anew. You let her. Some mercies are eternal. 2 notches, 1 journey, and a question as old as the Andes. Did Qullqa run, or are we just chasing ghosts? Cusco's neon buzz drowns the pebbles. Whisper your thumb, circling its edges like a worry stone. The backpacker jabs her phone at a hologram guide. 5 stars, says this AI, recreated the whole Inca road system. You smirk. Does it include potholes from Spanish cannons? The museum's VR exhibit glows, avatars of chaskis sprinting past pixelated cliffs. A kid in a Minecraft shirt rams his headset. Boring. Where's the zombies? His mom sighs. Cultural enrichment, sweetie, like Fortnite, but with homework. You linger at a glass case, 3 pebbles labeled mnemonics, circa 1450 CE. They're bland as driveway gravel. Where's the pink one from Lake Titicaca? Probably locked in some Yale drawer. The Dutch couple huddles over a touchscreen, swiping through khipu, not simulations. Honey, it's just binary. He crows. His wife deadpans. Binary with alpaca wool. Outside, a startup promo blares. Download Inca Mind. Train your brain with ancient memory hacks. You tap the app, cartoon chaskis race, as you match pebble patterns. Level 2 unlocks a premium khipu pack for $9.99. The backpacker snorts. They monetized your girl Qullqa's hustle. Mainstream archives confirm it. The Inca road network stretched 25,000 miles. That's circling the earth. Twice. Yet no wheels rolled on those stones, just sandals and stubbornness. Now satellites map the Andes in seconds, but miss the chaskis' secret switchbacks. Here's the weird bit. A Google engineer once hacked ways to display ancient Inca trails. Users reported glitches near Cusco, their GPS chanting in Quechua. The fix: rebooting with a pebble on the phone. Coincidence? Or algorithm honoring old codes? Rain slicks the cobblestones as you duck into a cafe. The barista's apron says, Java Chaski. Your espresso arrives with a mini khipu stirrer. Oat Inca kitsch, you mutter. The Dutch man materializes, always Dutch men beside you. Apps will never grasp true memory. Too many swipes. He pantomimes Tinder. Night falls, your hostel bunk creaks under a scratchy blanket. The backpacker FaceTimes Carlos. He's 2 time zones away. But hey, modern chaski, right? You press your pebble to the screen. Send him a stone emoji. Historians still argue whether touchscreens erode innate navigation skills. One study claims GPS shrinks hippocampi, your brain's memory center, like raisins. But in Lima, neuroscientists are training rats to run mazes using pebble reward systems. Early results. Rodents on rocks beat iPad-raised piers by a landslide. You stash the pebble under your pillow. Somewhere, Killa's ghost scowls at charging cables and dead pixels. Or maybe she's bemused her survival tool, now a gamified relic. The Dutchman's snores sync with the hostile Wi-Fi router. Its blinking light, one long flash, too short. A binary lullaby. Dawn bleaches the plaza. Tourists mass for sunrise selfies. The backpacker straps on rollerblades, descend Machu Picchu in style. You decline her wheels would have baffled chaskis, or inspired them. Imagine roller sprinting the Andes, Pebbles upgraded to ball bearings. The Dutchman waves farewell, clutching a souvenir khipu tea infuser. His wife mutters, he'll break it brewing Earl Grey. You smile. Some memory aids aren't built to last. Your bus leaves in an hour. One last scan for pink stones, nothing but gum wrappers and euro coins. The app pings, Inca Mind daily quiz. What pebble marks a landslide zone? You uninstall it. The engine roars, the road unfurls like a khipu cord. Your pebble warms in your palm. 2 notches, half a mystery, and you wonder if Killa carried a phone, would she text or trust the stones? Night wraps Cusco in a hum of distant traffic. Your pebble rests heavy on the windowsill. Rain-slick stones glint like olden khipu knots each. Groove a path now buried under pavement. The Dutch couple's laugh drifts up from the plaza, their tea infuser khipu already tangling in the breeze. You uninstalled Inca Mind hours ago, yet somehow these pebbles stick. Not like code, not like apps, deeper in the marrow where stars mapped trails before telescopes. Your bus window fogs with every breath, the Andes, now a shadow puppet show. Somewhere out there, chaskis still sprint switchbacks in the dark, no headlamps, no likes, just muscle and moon. Muscle memory needs no Wi-Fi password. It thrives where batteries die. Science says GPS frays our inner compass. Yet here's the twist. Rats raised on pebble puzzles navigate mazes faster than touchscreen pups, as if quartz beats quantum chips. Still, 99-cent apps keep trying to sell what your palm already cradles. The road remembers, even when we swipe it away. Some say a programmer once tweaked a mapping app. Users swore their devices chanted in Quechua near sacred peaks. The fix: a pebble on the screen as if algorithms still bow to older logics. The backpackers rollerblade, wheels click-clack toward tomorrow, plastic grinding, what's left of Inca cobblestones. You wonder if Killa ever tripped on ball bearings, if she'd trade her pouch for push notifications. Probably not. But here, now, your thumb traces what lasts. A vendor across the street tosses gravel, one clink echoes like a mountain's whisper. You pocket a pebble. Engine growls. Headlights eat the highway. Your stone warms, palm print merging with ghosts who carried messages in pebble code. 2 notches, half an answer, and the faintest itch to pocket a roadside rock just in case the satellites blink. Dawn's first light stitches the horizon, threading earth to sky like a khipu's final knot. You smile. The road needs no app, updates only. The weight of memory in your hand.